How's it going, guys? Hope you're all well. This is episode 1 of my podcast. We'll see how we get on with this, and we're going to continue. We're going to grow this community and make it work. You know what I mean? So, we'll start off by talking about what it was like to grow up British. I want to put everything that's going on right now to one side until a little bit later on. But we'll talk about what it was like as a British person to grow up in Britain and what the difference is now to what it was then. So I'm 26. I grew up in the time of like 2005 to, let's say, 2015. That was the time where I spent my time out on the streets, at the park, out with my friends, out in the woods, wherever it may be, out with my BMX, whatever. I when I go driving around the village that I used to live in, I don't see that now. I don't really see kids out on the street these days because one, technology is involved, and a lot of people a lot of kids just want to stay in the house and play games and stuff. But also, it comes down to the security of if a child is actually safe being out with their friends. You know what I mean? We used to be in the park all the time. We would be out late, but we always knew the people around. We knew that the community was safe enough and that there wasn't a potential threat of violence. I mean, you'd always have it like with the kids where someone might have a disagreement, there might be a fight in the park or something, but that's it sorted. The kid goes home, cries to his parents come up and that and say, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. That's all that crack. But the way that I feel it is now is kids don't have that security where they know that they can go out and just be kids, which is the unfortunate thing. But it comes down to who's actually in this country and why is, well, what is the danger that is now presented to us that wasn't there before. And it is the open border and the government just not caring about what the outcome is going to be, because they know what the outcome is going to be. They know what is coming. They know what they're bringing in, and they don't care because they're trying to. I don't even know what they're trying to do, but it just seems like they're just trying to create that much violence where they can present what they would say is a safe thing to do, which is potentially going to be some type of lockdown, like what we've already seen with COVID, where they'll turn around and say, right, it's not safe enough for you to go out now. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put more police out in the street. You're going to have to be in the house for a certain amount of time. You can't go out. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it's a shame because I loved being a kid out and about on the streets and stuff. It was the difference is with people that I grew up around, not grew up with, but people that were in my year, is a lot of people you would never see them out. There was a lot of us there's a lot of people that I grew up with that are very streetwise. We know how to survive. We knew how to survive as kids. You know what I mean? We would put our money together. We'd go to the shop. We'd get some food. We as soon as a stranger came over, we knew that there was a caution of, I don't know who this guy is, but they would never push themselves onto trying to communicate in a way. It's strange because obviously not being a kid now and not being out in the street and being at the park, I wouldn't know what the potential outcome. I mean, it might not be as different in my area, but I know other areas is very different. So the question is what is the path that is going to be best to take to try and change the things that's going on now? When it comes to the rioters, people who are out rioting at the moment are rioting because they are annoyed with how things are going in the UK, and they want to stand up and say, "Oh, this is wrong and this is wrong." But I think you're directing your anger in the wrong direction. Because what I'm seeing is people are going out and causing trouble, smashing up shops, putting windows out, starting fires, pushing police cars over, whatever. It's a targeted violence, but you're not targeting in the right way. I'm not saying that you should be doing it a different way. I'm just saying there is a better way, from my mind. I'm not instigating for you to go and do it. All I'm saying is what you're doing is wrong. Because what you're doing is you're going out in the street, you're smashing up the shops from the little old woman or from the man that's just started out his business, just because you're angry and you think that smashing some windows, going to steal from some shops, isn't going to have some type of effect on you. Because if you were going to go and do something, if you were unhappy with the situation that was presented to you, for example, if you had a situation where you went out with your missus and someone tried to chat with your missus, or someone had presented themselves to your female that was unacceptable, then usually the guy would go against the other guy that was trying to get his female. You would sort it out like that. But what you are all doing is saying, I'm unhappy with what he says. So instead of going that direction, I'm going to go and destroy all of this and hope that what I do over here is going to have a ricochet effect where he's going to go, oh, maybe I'm doing wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to what they say. But one thing you need to understand is him that's in the Prime Minister position right now does not care. He does not care about what you do as a British citizen until he has a reason to say you are doing wrong and I'm going to lock you up. That is what we've seen, especially that woman that got 2.5 years in prison in Sunderland who pushed that bin down the street. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to make examples of the British population for them to say the British are violent, the British need a lockdown, they need control taken of this population. They don't care about the ones that's coming in. Now, if the way that I see it, if you were going to do something, you would be targeting the people that are the ones that are saying that you shouldn't be doing the things that you're doing. I don't have a problem with race. I had a paper round as a child from the ages of 12. Is it 12 or 13? 13 until 15. Do you know who I worked for? A Pakistani. Did I have a problem with him? No. Why? Because he was sound. He was a sound guy. Guy called Ali. Proper sound. He would have a joke on with you. We'd gone out in the car with him to go other places and that. Like when we had to go to the cash and carry or whatever. He was an absolutely sound guy, right? I've also got a mate who owns an Indians, right? Guess what race he is? He's an Indian. He's sound. He even sorts me discount because I go there all the time. You know what I mean? There's people who had pizza shops who weren't British. Do I have a problem with them? No. Why? Because the respectful, sound people. I've even gone to different, like, I had a guy the other day, so we'll go on to the Newcastle riots, or the Newcastle protest. It wasn't even a riot. But the videos that you're going to see now are me walking up to work, because I work in a nightclub, do security on a nightclub. And the street was full with riot police, riot vans, up and down the street, which you'll see. Once I actually got to the protest, there was probably 60 people on one side. But I mean, by that time, it was close to finishing. But I did see on TikTok, there was a lot of people that were walking around with migrant welcome signs. Now, I don't believe that should be... I think yous are wrong as well. I think the people that are going out smashing the place up are wrong. I think the people that are welcoming migrants like it's just turn the tap on and let them in is wrong. I don't think at the moment we should even be letting any migrants in, illegal or legal. I don't think you should be coming here. What I think we should be doing right now is taking control of the mass population, understand actually what should be done. Now, I'm not going to, if any Muslims or Jewish, Indians, Hindus, Sikhs, whatever, I'm just, all of yous are all in the same category, right? We all need to come together to understand that the government is going to destroy us, right? Doesn't matter if you're British, doesn't matter if you're Muslim. The government is using the Muslims against the British, right? That is what's happening. Why do you think they're doing that? Is it because our own Christian Prime Minister wants to go against the Christian nation? Oh no, it's not because of that. Because our Prime Minister isn't a Christian. He's a Jew. So is the possibility that this Jewish Prime Minister is attacking the Christian nation by using the Islamic people to attack us, and then once he's done that, he's going to let all of the illegal immigrants in and are going to cause violence, create absolute slaughter on the streets, and just have absolute chaos? Because one, our British Army isn't going to protect our British population. If you're curious to know why, I'll let you know why. It's because I spoke to somebody at the beginning of the week who is potentially in the British Army, who is potentially protecting illegal immigrants in hotels. Also, potentially taking those illegal immigrants to the shop when they need to as a taxi. Like the British soldiers are potentially driving a car from a hotel with illegal immigrants to take them to the shop and then bring them back. The police. Now, the police are going against, I mean, last night, there was 2 people that were arrested in Newcastle last night. There was hardly, I didn't see any arrest while I was there. I wasn't there for long, but once it was finishing, but I didn't see any violence. Apparently there was like 14 people that were arrested after that protest yesterday. Reasons why? No idea. But there was 2 people that were arrested last night. At the end of my shift, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. There was 2 people that were arrested, and the way that it looked is the police were at that point where they didn't have the amount of people arrested that they thought was going to happen. So they decided to take up the opportunity to be overly aggressive and arrest people, right? Now, if you recognize me, a lot of people, the majority of the people that ever come into contact with me understand that I'm respectful with everybody. Everybody that I encounter, I treat the same as I would expect them to treat me. Yes, there is times that I have to take people out of the club. Yes, sometimes it gets like there is an aggressive side to it. Not aggressive from me, but I've got to make sure that the people that I'm working with, the people that are in that club, are going to be safe. And if it means that that person wants to kick off, and then we've got to step up and be more physical with them, not beat the shit out of them, but just to make sure that, right, we need to get this person out. I spoke to one of the lads I worked with last night. I said, how can we do a better job being a doorman than what the police do being police? And it's because the police try and use that power to go, right, well, I can do this because I'm at the top of the food chain type of thing. That's not the case at all. I'm sound, me. I try and make sure that every encounter I have with people is sound. I talk to people that are white. I talk to people that are black. It could be Indians. It could be Muslims. None of it. Doesn't matter. Chinese, whatever. Doesn't matter. I don't care who you are. If you speak to me with respect, I'll speak to you with respect until that line is crossed. Until then, it's respectful. The police, from what we seen last night in Newcastle, went over the top with what they did because they didn't need to do the things that they did. The way that the police are treating people is unacceptable. Now, you've got the British Army that is against the British population. You've got the police that are against the British population. Our own government is against our population, right? And then now what they're trying to do is make it out as the Muslims against the Christians, and that is the target, right? Forgetting about the problem about all the illegal immigrants coming in. Oh, no. Don't worry about the illegal immigrants coming in. Worry about your neighbour. Worry about the Muslim man that lives down the street where there's a Christian that lives down that street. Now, there is something that I thought about, and it is it's quite upsetting, to be fair, because I'll use an analogy of Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? The UFC fighter. Unstoppable. What is the difference between Khabib and Conor McGregor? Why did Khabib beat Conor? Is it because he trains harder? Probably. Is it because he eats differently? Maybe. Does he sleep more than Conor? Possibly. One thing that you will understand is Khabib being a devoted Muslim, his life consists of sleep, prayer to God, train. Eat, sleep, pray. Train. Eat, sleep, pray, train. Repeat that. Repeat that. Repeat that. What was Connor's? He's got his whiskey business to focus on. He's training. He's eating. He's got his missus. He's going out with women. He's back out on the drink. So he probably is on the gear. Like, you know, the old cocaina. He's partying. He's training. He's eating. He's probably not sleeping that much. But one thing that's different between all that, Khabib is devoted to God. Conor is not. Why do you think the Muslims are absolutely destroying this country? Not destroying it as in bringing it down to its knees, destroying it as in taking over it. Why do you think the Muslims are so successful in doing that? Because their life is devoted to family and God. What is the British population's focus? I'm going to work Monday to Friday, and I cannot wait to go out and drink on Friday and Saturday. And then once Sunday comes, I'm going to have a hangover all day Sunday, and then I'm going to go to work all week, and then I'm going to come back. And then I cannot wait to go and try and find a woman. Or I cannot wait to try and find a man. Or I didn't work that weekend. Or I had sex with somebody this weekend, but I don't want that person. So what I'll do is I'll push that person off, and I'll go try and find another one next weekend. The British population needs God. That's what needs to happen. And you're going to say, oh, no, we don't need that. We don't need that. We do. We absolutely do. Because you are all focused on your own needs. The amount of women that have fallen pregnant after meeting somebody on a night out, and then they wonder why they're single. Right? We're gonna cause some arguments here. How many of you women have got a child with a guy that you are no longer with? Why is that? There's loads of possibilities. It might be the guy was an absolute dickhead. He might have just been a bully. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. But it's because women look at men on a night out and go, oh, I'd like to go back with him. Or I'll just have a one-nighter with him. And then you just wonder why the guy walks away. Because if you put God first, right, and the other person that you're speaking to puts God first, then your life would probably be more successful than what you're doing. But what you're doing is going, like, I see people on a regular basis, right? I thought going out on a drink was a pre-2020 thing. You know what I mean? I used to go out on a drink. I used to go party, right? From 2015 till 2020. That was the time. I'd go to raves. I'd go out on the drink. I'd get pissed. I'd spend all weekend out on the drink. I'd go to work all week. I'd come back that. I thought we'd grown out of this. But it seems as though there's people still my age and there's people older than me that still go, oh, yes, I cannot wait to go out this weekend. Cannot wait to get a little bit of cocaine. You know what I mean? I'm going to spend all my money on drink. I spoke to a guy a few weeks ago who spent £400. He spent £400 and it wasn't even fucking 12 o'clock. He'd only been out for a few hours. I was like, what have you spent £400 on? And he goes, oh, well, I'm out with my mates. I was like, so what, you bought all the drinks for your mates? And he goes, oh, yeah, I've just been buying rounds. I was like, how long do you think that's going to last for? Because what happens when you don't have any money and then you try and go out with them? Are they going to pay for you? Probably not. Why? Because people are just in it for themselves. Women are just in it for themselves. Men are just in it for themselves. Muslims devoted family, devoted to God. That is the reason why the Muslims are going to beat us. You know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing this, and all of you are like, you might see this and go, do you know what? This guy speaks right. Or you might see it and go, this guy's speaking wrong. But what I'm seeing right now is there's a potential war going on in this country, and people are so bothered about going out on the drink. You're spending every weekend out on the drink. I'm seeing regulars that are out every fucking weekend doing the same shit. I'm confiscating drugs off them. They'll be back out next weekend. I'll confiscate it again. They'll be out on the drink. They'll do it again. And it's just a constant cycle. And you're going to stand here and say, oh, all the foreigners are taking our jobs. Why do you think they're taking the jobs? Because none of you are fucking bothered. None of you care. These are all just bothered about, I just want to make sure that I get out this weekend. I can't wait to let my hair down and go out on the drink. I don't see anything. I don't even drink, me. I don't drink. I don't party. I don't take drugs. It's just there's no upside to it. But you aren't devoted to a God. Like, England was a Christian nation. It should still be. I'm not going to sit here and say that I am the best Christian that's ever lived. I'm still a work in progress. I've still got my Bible nearby, though. I still try and read it and understand what it is I'm trying to understand. I've got no problem with a Muslim, because if a Muslim's devoted to his God or to her God, then who am I to say that your God's right and my God's wrong, or my God's right and yours is wrong? You know what I mean? I still respect that person as long as he respects me. But so many of you that are out rioting right now don't even know what you're rioting for. A lot of you are just seen as an excuse to go and fucking let some fuel off. To go and burn some fuel and burn your cities down. Which I think is pathetic, to be fair. I'm saying this to you. You are pathetic if you're out rioting. There's a difference between protesting and standing up and trying to do something about it, and just going smashing shops up for the sake of it. Oh, I'm going to go get a telly this weekend because we've got the opportunity to go and do it. I'd rather have nothing and know that I didn't take it from somebody else than have everything and know that I've taken it under the opportunity of chaos. I think he's pathetic, to be fair. So something that I've just seen there before is, I'm not sure how true it is, but there is a big possibility. I can imagine it would be. Is migrants or illegal immigrants are now being housed on caravan sites. You know, like stacked caravans and stuff, which wouldn't surprise me, because it seems as though the UK has got a lot more money than what they're saying that we have. Because Keir Starmer's sending, 65 million, 68 million to Africa to provide stuff over there. Why didn't you send £65 million over into our country? Close the border, remove all the illegals, and have some type of debate with all the communities and say, right, what we're doing and what we're not doing. Because I don't feel it. I think there's a lot of migrants that do bring good to this country, and a lot of migrants that will stand with the British, and in the understanding that they've came here for a better life, right? I don't doubt that. I'm not going to sit here and say that for somebody to be living in a war-torn country, for them to seek a better life elsewhere, that they shouldn't do it, because I absolutely believe that people should. But it doesn't mean we have to take them. That's up to them, how they do theirs and what they do. But there's a reason why people come to the UK. And there's also a reason why people in the UK go elsewhere. Because there's always the possibility of it being better elsewhere. But it's like that saying, the grass isn't greener on the other side. Potentially it is, because the grass is dying in the UK. And people aren't watering it. People aren't looking after it. So, but that comes back to who we've got in charge. Like, I think for somebody to be in charge of the military, I think that person should have been very high up through the ranks of the military. For example, Ant Middleton. I think Ant Middleton would be a great person to run the military because he's done shit. He's been places. He knows what would be best and what wouldn't be. Right? He was a Marine. He's got mates that were paras. He was in the SAS. He has been to all these places. He knows what they are like over there. He has seen it. He has been in firefights with them. He knows what they are allowing into this country and what the government is allowing. You know what I mean? It's chaos, but there is the possibility of a revolution. It's not even just the British standing by themselves. There's multicultural in the UK that will stand with the UK and say, right, as long as we come to some type of agreement, once this is all done, we'll all stand together and say, right, we are going to do something about this. I don't believe that the Muslims should be in charge of this country. This is a Christian continent. You've came over here, you've made loads of money. If that's necessarily what you want, then take the money that you've made over here, back over there, and invest it over into your country. But it is going to pull this country to the floor. It is going to pull this country to the floor. But there's always something that we could potentially bring in that allows multicultural ethnicities to thrive in the UK. You know what I mean? You've got your Pakistanis, you've got your Indians, got your Islamists, Chinese, Nepalese, Nigerian, Fijian, all of them. That's not to say we're going to throw all of anyone who's not white, we're throwing you out of the country. I don't believe that should be the case. I don't feel like that's the world that we're in right now. I don't feel like that would even work, to be fair. Because all of yous that are sitting there saying they're all taking our jobs, how many of yous are doctors? How many of yous even know, like, how to fix cars, whatever? You know what I mean? Do you ever see any people that have migrated over here on the streets? No. I think every the majority probably is 97, if not close to 98%. Even might even be more of the population that is on the streets are white British. There is obviously going to be the odd couple that aren't, but the majority of them are. So why is that? Why have we allowed our own to not be able to afford a house, not get a job, this, and this? I understand it goes to the path that they've taken. But if you're sending 65 million to a different country of our money instead of helping our population, then you shouldn't be in charge of the country. It should be working class people that decide what goes on in this country, because it's us that gets the shitty end of the stick when it all comes in. So it's just I don't even understand how yous aren't aware of this. How he is even being able to, right, I cannot wait for the weekend. I think he's crazy. I also had a conversation today about how some guy was having a go at this other guy. There was a British guy that was having a go at another British guy because this British guy had found a woman who was Asian. And he goes, "No, you shouldn't be doing that." And I interrupted and I said, "Why shouldn't he?" And this is going to rock a few boats here, so get ready for this. There is so many men and women in the UK that aren't attractive. That might be me. You might look at me and go, he's not attractive anyway. I don't care. But how many how many overweight people do we have in the UK that are out on the drink every weekend? And then they go, "Oh, I'm not fat, I'm beautiful." And I'm like, "No, you're not, you're fat. There's nothing attractive." I just don't find that appealing. Some people do. I understand that. And I'm not going to say I'm going to disrespect somebody by the way that they choose to live their life. But What happens when this country does actually go into a war? Because I can't imagine that it doesn't. We're walking right into it. But when the government, either the government or the population, decide, right, here's an army, because we're going to have two armies in this country. We're going to have an army of the public and an army of the government that are going to go against each other. So how many of you are going to stand up? Or how many of you are just going to bend over? And how many of you are out of shape and overweight and still going out on the drink every weekend and think that it's just going to blow over? Because you're going to have to also have an input on the things that's happening. So how many of you are going to be able to walk up a hill or up a mountain to go and defend this country? You know what I mean? I stand by all of the cultures within the UK that actually respect the British values and understand what life is in Britain. The ones that I don't respect are the ones that are just here to cause violence. Like, I understand violence. Violence gets you things that you want that you don't have. Violence gets you things that you don't have, because if you've got someone strong and someone's weak, and that strong man threatens that weak person because that weak man's got a car that strong man likes, and he says, right, I want that car, if not, I'm going to hurt you. And then he hands over the keys and says, yep, fine, no problem. Violence is inevitable. Chaos is inevitable, especially with how this country is right now. But trust me, if this all just blows over, it's because all of us, as the British population, have allowed it to happen. Because it's not going to blow over. If we stand up, it's not going to blow over. If we don't stand up, it's going to blow over, but they're going to allow lockdowns, movement control. They're going to be watching us heavily. It wouldn't surprise me if certain things I'm starting to speak out about now, that the possibility I'm going to be watched. It wouldn't surprise me if I'm only being watched now, because they don't want people like me and other people that do speak out about this to be speaking out, because I know how to speak. I know how to get a message across. I know, I believe from what I see, there's so many people oblivious to the things that are going on. So many people think, I heard something last night. Hold on a second. I heard something last night. I'm not sure how true it is, so it might be absolute horseshit, but have a look. Might be, might not be. That if you didn't vote for this election, your vote automatically went to Labour, apparently, from somebody that spoke to me last night. I don't know how true that is. Could be true, might not be. But imagine if that's the case. And that's the reason why Labour's in power now. Because everybody I've ever spoke to, I think pretty much everybody I spoke to, if they didn't vote, they didn't vote. But if they did vote, it was for reform. So who's actually voted for Labour? And if nobody's actually voted and the votes does go to Labour, then it was inevitable that Labour was going to come into power anyway. You know what I mean? So it's now a time in history that we are 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever, are going to be talking about this time. And they're going to be talking about, what did the British actually do? Did they just pack their bags and leave and just say, yep, fuck it, have that country, I don't care? Or do we actually stand up and say, do you know what? The British actually saved this country yet again. Even though we should be, because it's our country. But just think, the British once owned pretty much the world, if not the world. And now what do we own? We don't even own our own country, because we've got a Jew in power. The MP of London is a Muslim. There's a few other Muslims that are MPs in different places. So what's happened to the British? Why are none of the British going, hold on a second, what? This is our country? Who are you to come and... Imagine, right? Me, as a British citizen, went to Russia and said, I'm not happy with how yous are going on in this country. I think it's wrong. I think this should be a British continent. I was gonna say Putin would say, "Who the fuck are you?" But it wouldn't even get to Putin because their population would be like, "Who the fuck are you? Who are you to come into my country and say that you think this country should be British? And what gives you the right to even think about that?" But yet, that's what we've allowed in this country. We are the only nation at the moment that has just completely just gone, "Hiya, come over here, come on." We don't care about our own, but we care about you. You want some food? Sound, mate. You want a hotel as well? A shower? Nice warm bed? Sound, mate. Right, you go over there. Like, no, don't worry about the white guy. Don't worry about that white man. He's fine. He's going to be on the street shortly anyway. He's fine. But you, as the man that's getting off that boat there, who's been in a shit country, come on, mate. Come on. Get over there. Bring your family as well. No women? Oh, that's fine, mate. Sound, get over there. I did hear something as well. It was on TikTok. There's a woman. I don't know who she is. I'll just describe what she looks like. She's got glasses on. She's got a hijab on. You know, like the headscarves. She shows her face, but it's a headscarf. She said this the other day. I don't know her name. I don't want to insult her. Like, that wasn't trying to insult her. I just don't know who she is. When you see her, when you're flicking, you'll see her. It's just a woman with glasses and a hijab. Anyway, she said that there was something that she heard where there was a woman who had some type of hotel who was given a big chunk of money to house these illegal immigrants. But apparently there was also a container that turned up. And I don't know how true this is, but the possibility of this being is very likely. You can consider me as a conspiracy theorist. I was a conspiracy theorist through COVID, and I was a conspiracy theorist with all the vaccines. Now look at me. Still haven't had my jab, still alive, and all of these other things are coming out now with how the jabs are dangerous. So where's all the people that were like, "Oh no, Stu, you should be having your jab." Blah, 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 blah. I literally speak to people and I say, "What about this?" And they go, "Oh well, I'm still alive." And I'm like, I can't believe he's even fucking said that. How come you even find that acceptable? Like, you just make a joke about it. You know what I mean? But this woman said that there was a container that turned up to this woman's hotel, and inside there was ammunition and weapons. Now, one, I know that's not for the British population. Two, if that is true, right, all of the illegal immigrants coming over are all military-age men. They're all strong, fighting men, right? So all it takes is for that container to be opened, them to go get the weapons, bearing in mind they're running around with machetes and that anyway. Wait until they get fully automatic machine guns. Probably AK-47s. Might even be SA-80s. You know what I mean? I think it's crazy. And I think it's absolutely blown my mind that so many people are oblivious to it. I'm going to sit here and preach this all the time. How many done? I've done 38 minutes now. I'm probably going to go to an hour. I'm going to rant away. I'll have an hour little podcast. It'll be fine. Once I've cut bits down in that, it won't be an hour, but well, we'll see. But I think it's crazy. What other notes have I got written down? Talk about how in dog daycares they won't allow aggressive, misbehaving dogs. So why should we let them in the UK? That's a valid point. If you took your dog to a daycare centre and your dog bit other dogs or was aggressive, do you think that daycare would allow your dog back? No. Because why would they jeopardise everybody else's dogs just to support your aggressive dog? So why would our government allow aggressive, dangerous people into this country when the rest of the population, I'm not saying all of it, but the majority of it, are peaceful people? Is it because they're trying to start a revolution? You know what I mean? That was a good... I thought about that early on. Like, that just popped into my mind. I'm not calling people dogs, but you know what I mean? The concept behind it is you don't have aggressive violence around an environment that isn't aggressive and violent. These people that are coming over from these countries, right, have been bombed all of their lives. They've walked around with soldiers on their streets, with bombs here, there, and everywhere. They could probably walk down the street, right, and there'll be a shell, like a shell from an artillery weapon. I don't know about artillery. Like, I don't know the terminology of what that, but you know what I mean. Just out on the street, and they'll walk past it like it's a can on the street. They're walking around with machetes on the street. Their police will see them with machetes and probably not be bothered about it. Why? Because that is the environment that they've been in. So they've literally just gone, right, hold on a second. If you come to the UK, we're going to give you a nice house. You're not going to get shot. You're not going to get beheaded. You're not going to have a problem with food because there's plenty of it. You want some alcohol, there's plenty of it. You want some cigarettes, there's plenty of them. There's plenty of white women. There's plenty of children. You can do what you want. The police aren't going to do anything about it. They're going to house you. They'll look after you. Even when their population of the white British try and attack you, they're going to protect you and make sure you're okay because you've had a hard life in a different country and you shouldn't have to deal with that over here. But yet they're the ones bringing the violence over here. It's not about the Muslim population that is already in this country, right? Yous that are attacking these mosques understand something here. That you are making it out that we are the bad ones. Because you're targeting them when they're not the problem, right? Yes, there is a side of that religion that is violent. Okay, what we need to do is put somebody in power from their side as an MP, right? That says, right, we will deal with this culture because as a Christian, you don't know what it's like to grow up with this belief. We know how to survive as respectful people. So what we're going to do is we'll clamp down on our own. We'll make sure that we don't cross your boundaries as this being your country, but you look after your own, right? God needs to be brought back into schools. God needs to be brought back into your household. Trust me, right? Because there's a video, and I'm going to put it on right here, but I'll explain what it is. Steve Harvey. If you don't know who Steve Harvey is, he's a black guy with a black mustache who does Family Fortune in America, right? Preaches about God. When there was one thing, right? The thing that changed my life was one of these videos, and it's the video I'm going to put up right now. And God said, how is your life going without... Steve said, how's your life going without God? And I looked at my situation. I goes, do you know what, mate? It's pretty fucking shit, to be honest. I was like, I'm trying to do this, and I can't fucking do it. And he was like, I'd try something new if I was you. And I thought, do you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to try something new.
God really does want to help you. He really does. But he requires that we have a relationship with him. All he wants is a relationship with you. You ain't got to go to this church or that church. You ain't got to belong to that faith. You ain't got to call him Jesus. You ain't got to call him Lord and Savior. You ain't got to call him Allah. You ain't got to call him Jehovah. You got to call him one of them. Whichever one you choose is your personal business. That ain't my job. But I'm telling you, if you're trying to make it in this world without God in your life, you're making it way harder than it's got to be. I'm telling you, man, I did it. I did it without him. It does not work.
I've tried something new, and I'm telling you, from a guy that has always walked around as a Christian but never spoke to God, who now speaks to God on a regular basis, my God, right? Who I believe is my God. I don't care who your God is. I don't care who your God is. I'm not going to slander your God. I'm not going to slander your God. Because if you believe that your God is going to get you to where I believe my God is going to get me, then good luck. Good luck. And I hope that what you're preaching is potentially going to save the rest of us, right? You might be right. I might be right. He might be right. We might all be right. We might all be wrong, right? No idea. But the amount of people that preach about God who are in successful places. Ryan Garcia preaches about Jesus Christ. Steve Harvey speaks about God. You've got Tyson Fury talks about Jesus Christ. Where are these people at? Those are the people's faces that you see. Why do you think they're there? Because God is speaking through these people. God is speaking through me right now to you. Hopefully it's going to impact you. But God, my God, Jesus Christ, is speaking to you through me. For me to let you know that you need God, right? I'm not going to say I'm an absolute. I mean, you can see, like, I haven't even read that much of the Bible. I'm still learning the Bible, but the amount of godless people that are living in the UK right now that think that the government is going to do something about it are just, you just need to wake up. You just need to wake up and realize that God is the creator, right? Now, how are you going to live without even knowing who your creator is? Because you just think, I mean, I understand the successful people that don't preach about God, that say that they're not religious at all. They found their way to get to there. That's fine. I understand that. But from where we are right now, if your life isn't the way that you want your life to be, and you are struggling, you might be struggling with bills, you might be struggling, you might be on the street. I'm not sure what you might be going through, but if it's something that you feel is overwhelming you, get down on your knees and pray and just ask for God, whoever you believe your God might be. If you were brought up as a Christian, it might be Jesus. If you were brought up as Muslim but you don't believe in God, maybe it's Allah. I don't know. That is a journey for you to take. That's not for me to tell you what your journey is, right? But the British, right? I mean, to be fair, worldwide, you need to invite God into your life, because it's gonna get messy, especially in this country, right? And if it doesn't get messy, it's because we've bent over and allowed it to happen, right? I don't really know much more I can say other than stop fighting with your neighbours, stop smashing up shops, right? And 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 see for what it really is. Do you think Keir Starmer's worried about rioters that are going on around Newcastle, Sunderland, Hartlepool, fucking Leeds, Southport? Do you think he's bothered about them? He couldn't care less. Why? Because he's probably got a nice big warm house. Him and his missus just having a little cup of tea and that. Just, oh, have you seen the riots up there? I've started all them. And he wants to blame it on Tommy Robinson, or he wants to blame it on Andrew Tate, or he wants to blame it on anybody that wants to speak about it. I'm probably going to get the blame for it at some point in my life. If God allows me to continue to move on with speaking to yous the way that I do, and trying to get yous to not be violent towards each other, but be more targeted in protecting the country. Say, for example, that's the government, right? And then we've got all of this space, that's the British population. But yeah, we've got this and this and this and this, and they're all just fighting against themselves. There's many of us. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying there's better things for you to be doing. There's smart people in this country. There are smart people that know how to get into Parliament and how, like, there's always some type of loophole. There's always some type of loophole within the system. It's just finding that loophole of saying, actually, we can do this because you can't. Because then, as soon as we find the loophole, right, once that loophole is found and enough people get through that loophole, that's when they're going to try and close that hole up and say, actually, no, you can't do that. But then once there's that many of us that have stood up and you say, well, it doesn't matter what you say your law is, because what you are saying is best for us. We know what's best for us. We've done it for long enough. We've grown up in communities where it was sound. And now I don't see what's sound about it. I thought about this last night when I was actually walking through town, because I'd left my car in it, because since that march was on, there was a certain area that I couldn't drive into, so I had to park my car elsewhere. And I was walking through town with a female that I work with, and there was some foreign guys kicking off. And I thought to myself, I was like, I understand how people do feel. I wasn't intimidated. I didn't feel threatened, but I could feel the uncertainty about somebody speaking in a foreign language kicking off and potentially like knowing the possibility of that person getting violent. Would they target me just because I'm white? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I don't know why. I think I was just more thinking about how women don't feel safe in the streets, especially with people that don't speak English. Because there's plenty of times where we've walked on the streets and that, as long as you know that somebody's English, there is that comfortability of knowing that that this person's not going to stab me up. But even now, you don't even know if that's the case, because I know that there's British people that are walking around armed because they're uncertain about whether if they're going to bump into somebody that else is going to be armed. The way that it seems is it's better to have something and not need it than need it and not have it. But that's just creating more of the possibility of violence because somebody. I remember, right, I'll tell you a little story. When I was younger, there was one night I took the dog out and I took a knife with me. I only went out in the fields. I wasn't walking around the streets, but I took the knife out with me, right? And I thought to myself, I was like, why am I carrying this? Why am I out here? Like, I think it was maybe about 11 o'clock at night. I took it out just in case because I was only young and I didn't really, I wasn't really young. I was probably like 13, still young. But I was walking down the woods and I thought, why am I carrying this? What's the reason to carry this? And I never carried it ever again. I don't feel a need to, but I understand there's a lot of people in certain areas that will be like feeling like that, where they'll go, I'm going to carry this just in case. And it shouldn't be the case. We shouldn't be walking around our own towns and cities and villages and streets carrying weapons for the possibility of somebody else coming to attack us. So the things that we need to do as communities, doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what religion you are, as long as you are here to provide something to this country, right? You want to live a comfortable life, going to work, making money, trying to be successful, whatever success may be to you. One, riots need to stop. It needs to be more organised, right? There needs to be less violence, because bringing more violence to the street is just bringing more attention to the government saying that we need to lock these people down, right? Two, stop fighting with your neighbours. Go and shake a foreign person's hand. Understand that they're just under that colour. They're just like me and you. Majority of them, some more violent. I'm not saying go around shaking everybody's hand because you never know. But you know what I mean? You've got friends, and there might be people that have had friends that are of a different race that are potentially not wanting to go and speak to them anymore because they feel divided. Why do we need to feel divided in this country? Why do we need to feel divided in the world? But with that being said, we also need to be more cautious on who's actually coming in and how we're actually going to prevent them from coming in, because the government's not going to stop. There needs to be more of us that are going to stand up, and there needs to be, I mean, the British Army's got 80,000 personnel, roughly, in the army. I wouldn't say that's active personnel. There might just be people that are within the industry of the British Army. But let's just say there was 80,000 soldiers. Here we go. The advantage that we've got compared to them is there is a majority. I wouldn't say it's a big majority, but there is a good majority of the British Army that are fat and lazy, right? Out of shape. Yes, and I'm going to say it. And if you're a British Army soldier and you're fat, yes, I'm talking about you, right? But there's plenty of British population that are fat that could do something about it, right? I'm respectful to everybody that I encounter, right? But there's certain things that you should be doing in your life. There's certain things I should be doing in my life that I should be doing that I don't. But I'm progressing towards. You know what I mean? See this as a realization, as I'm not insulting you. I'm trying to give you motivation to fucking do something about your life. Because You are potentially going to be one of them that we're going to have side by side and say, you're going to have to defend these people. Do you feel like you're going to be fit enough to do it? Probably not. Stop going out on the drink. Stop wasting all your money on the fucking drink and cocaine. Because cocaine, right, isn't even cocaine anymore. It's not. And if people are having to test their drugs, actually test them because they don't know what it is, then why the fuck are you taking it? I don't see the point in it. I'm not going to say that I was one of those idiots. Not one of those idiots that tested, but I was one of those idiots that used to go out and party. But there's no benefit to it. And if you're a woman and you're looking for a man, don't look for a man in a club because you ain't going to find him. And if you do, he'll leave you. You'll have a kid with him. You'll be a dickhead. You'll leave. Then you'll be a single mother. Then you'll have to try and find another guy that's going to end up taking you and your child. Might be 2 childs. Might be 3 childs. And you've got to be like... And then that guy's going to be like, well, I want my kids. And you go, well, I don't want any more kids. Then he's going to just have to try and fucking accept that. He's either going to have to stay with you with kids that aren't his, or he's going to have to leave you, which leaves that you're going to be single, which is probably going to push you down towards drinking again, which will probably take you to the drugs. Then you'll be like, oh, women empowered. Oh, I don't need a man. I can do it by myself. But technically you do need a man, because the reason why your children are dickheads is because they haven't got a father figure. And the father figure that they have, you've probably pushed out, or he's walked away because he doesn't love you, because you were just a one-night stand, and he, you know what I mean? It's just a cycle. It's just a constant cycle. I'm kind of glad that I haven't got kids yet. I always wanted kids, and I've always looked forward to having kids. But at this time now, I'm glad I don't. Because if this country goes to shit, mate, like, I've just got to take me and the dogs. You've got to take you, your kids. I know it's technically the same type of thing, but it's not at the same time. Because my dogs are wise enough to look after themselves. The majority of yous that are single mothers that don't have a man in your life, potentially fucked. So just be smarter on what you're doing. Look after yourselves. I keep wiping the table. It's because I got dog hair all over it. Dogs just come in and shaking that, and I'm just like, I just see bits of hair, and I'm like, ah. But yeah, don't think this is me trying to insult anybody. Some of you might think that I can't change your own opinion on it. But what I will say is that I hope you do listen and see the potential threat that is coming. I mean, it's already here. It's already here. But it's going to get worse. I just hope you don't see it too late. Because the life that we grew up with, being like, so let's say you were born in the the 90s, right? I was born 98. Let's say you were born then, right? Remember the childhood that you grew up with. It's never coming back. We could replicate it and make something similar, but the freedom that we once had, if we allow the government to continue with what they're doing, is never going to happen again. So, God bless you all. I hope you have a good day. I hope you can take some information from this. And I've enjoyed this. What we're up to now, 58 minutes. I mean, there's going to be bits that I cut out of here. But it's nice just to be able to chat for a bit. I think podcast 1 went well. I look forward to doing number 2. I haven't got a clue when number 2 is going to be, or what I'm going to talk about. But we'll figure something out. God will allow me, God will guide me, or guide my mouth to speak about the things that need to be spoke about. So, yeah, God bless. Have a good day. Think about what you're doing. Stop going out on the drink. Stop taking drugs. Train and prepare for chaos. It's better to prepare for something that doesn't happen than to not prepare and it happen. It's like that saying that Joe Rogan said. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. It's an old expression, but it makes sense. Because it doesn't mean that you can't be kind if you're strong. But it does mean you can't be strong if you're weak.
Yeah.
If you're weak, you're fucked.
So be prepared. Be prepared for the possibilities of what... Because there is opportunities that are coming. There's opportunities that will come out of this. And I believe that things will get better. It's just we've got to get fucking... Things are just going to have to get worse before they get better. It just depends on what that better is going to be. Is it going to be better for the government, or is it going to be better for the population? I don't know. I hope you can see what I see. Can you see what I see? I think it was, can you feel what I feel? Don't know. Anyway, we're almost at an hour. So, 3, 2, 1. God bless you all. There's an hour. See you later.